And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a roll and write game called Drawn to Adventure. Now this came with Merchant's Cove, big giant Kickstarter from Final Frontier Games. So this is a small game, and I'm always a little hesitant. I'm thinking, is this a game they kind of threw in the mix to sweeten the pot to some degree? Because it looks like it's set in the same universe. In fact, it uses a few of the same pieces. But it's a roll and write game that has you as a character going out on adventures and getting experience points. Let's take a look. Each player is going to get a book here where they're going to have the various maps in it. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to start on either the human map or the dwarf map. You roll a die. And there are 4 boss areas on a map. When one player finishes 3 of them, then you do a final round. And then you will roll and go to one of the next 2 maps. So the Trobbit or the Halfling for part 2. And then for part 3, you'll go to the Green Elf Kingdom or the Elf Kingdom. And then after that, you'll sum your points together. Each player is going to have a character. So you'll pick a character here. We have the Noble, and the Bard, and the Warrior, and the Wizard, and the Rogue. So you'll pick one of these characters, and you're going to open your book like this. You're going to put your character on your starting area. This X that's through a spot means you've already explored it. You'll have a deck of cards that correspond to this kingdom. So you can see here, for example, these all say human at the bottom. So you'll shuffle this. These are side quests that you'll have. And you'll have dice here. You'll have 2 per player plus a yellow bonus die. And you're going to roll the dice at the beginning of each round. And the start player will draft a die. Now, they're the only person who can draft the yellow die, and they have to make it their first draft. If you don't take it, then no one can get it. So you draft a die, then the next person, then the next person, the next person, and then in reverse order, you each draft a die. And I said 2 per player. It's 2 per player plus 1, plus the yellow die. So there'll be a die left over, likely. And then you're going to take your dice, and you're going to use them for one of 3 things. One thing you can do is up here on the board, you can circle a spot and save that die for a future use. And when you use it later on, you'll just put an X through it. So you can only do that so many times per game. Another thing you can do is you can move your character on the board in a straight line as far as you want through areas you've already explored based on the symbol. So, and the direction is just shown right here. So if I take a green potion, for example, I can move north. So if this spot was explored, I'd be able to move. So let's say I was moving this direction. If these spots were explored, I can move down here. And then the last thing you can do is you can spend the symbols themselves. Potions are spent to add more potions to you. Here, you'll just add more potions. And the rest of the symbols are used to explore areas that are around you. Each area is going to be explored slightly differently. So if you're next to a spot here, I can use, if I have an archer symbol, I can explore that area. This one requires one of 2 different symbols. This area requires 2 symbols, and you need to have them on the same turn, as opposed to this one, which has 2 symbols, but you could do one on one turn and one on the other turn. When you explore an area, you'll put an X through it, and you also get the rewards to that area. Sometimes they give you a free movement. Sometimes they give you an experience point. But many times they give you treasures. There are 3 types of treasures. As you get a treasure, you just cross off the lowest value one. At the end of a game, you're going to write the lowest score you see of each one, and that's going to be your score here, which is then transferred to the next page. Now, experience points. Each player has actions that they can take. Everybody can take actions here where you can always turn 2 dice into a wild die of your choice. You can always spend a potion to re-roll 1 or 2 dice, spend 2 potions to flip a die to its opposite side, and spend 3 potions to move anywhere you want. But players also have special abilities based on their character. However, you need to unlock these special abilities with experience points. Once I spend 2 experience points, for example, I now have the Bounty Hunter. This does two things. It lets me use the bounty hunter, so whenever I draft an archery die, I get a potion. But also, I'm going to circle this because in the future when I get an experience point, I don't have to take this. I can instead take 2 potions. So as you get more experience points, you'll get more opportunities instead of increasing and getting these special abilities, which are great. Some of them have costs, like this shortcut lets you move 2 space in any direction for 2 potions. You know, you might want to do that, but you also just might want the goods at the top. Also, when players beat a boss area, that's going to give them special bonuses, and they're also going to get one of these here. And you can see there's a little castle above the 3rd one, because when you get your 3rd boss area, that triggers the end of the round. Also, you'll notice occasionally you'll see a symbol. It's a little symbol here. It's hard to see. But some spots are early bird. If I'm the first person to defeat this boss area, I get a potion. But everyone else is going to have to cross that off. Only the first person gets it. Otherwise, no matter what the area is, people get the things that are on them. Finally, there are side quests. If you end your turn here, you'll draw from the bottom of the side quest deck, and it will tell you a specific spot you need to go to do the side quest. So I need to go to D, and I need to spend 4 potions. On the back then is my reward. There's also some story here, which is 2 experience points. There are other things on the map too. There are, like, if I end my turn here in this water one, I can move to one of these spots here to go out to sea. If I end my turn in the start of a cave, I can go to the other side of the cave. I mentioned there was a special die here. This die here is 2 symbols that are the same as the other die you take. Of course, you take the other die second, which means hopefully whatever it is, you're going to get 3 symbols of that type. Move in any direction. To 4 potions, move in any direction or take a silver coin, get an experience points. And then the other die just has different symbols that are shown here that are going to give you movement or various things. Like I said, when you're done, you'll go to the next map. Some of the maps have special abilities and special things that can happen on them. Like, for example, you see in the Green Elf Kingdom, you can spend 4 potions to get a silver coin. While in this one here, you get barrels, and you can spend those barrels to do things on adjacent quests. So there's a few special rules. But after everyone has played through 3 of these, whoever has the most points is the winner. I really like the components, the art of this game. The Miko, he does great art. The books here are nice. They're a little small. I mean, there's some really small, fine print in here, but they're not that hard. I thought the rules made sense pretty much. They're using some of the components here from Merchant's Code, but you have the little meeples. Then there's a bunch of cards. There's a lot of stuff in this game. I mean, they're giving you your money's worth. There's more stuff in this game than there is in most roll and writes. I'd like to start out by saying I don't think Drawn to Adventure is a bad game. There's some interesting and fun things to the game, but overall, I don't know that I want to play it anymore. There's a couple reasons for that. One, I feel the game is too long. Because playing through one map, it's not tremendously long to play through. It says on here the game is 30 to 90 minutes. I don't want to play a roll and write game for 90 minutes. But you play through one map, and you play through it, and you're like, okay, good. That's not the game. There's still 2 maps to go. There's still a good chunk of the game left over. That, to me, was a little problematic. It just felt like it dragged on a bit. Then the yellow bonus die. That sounds cool. It's a wonky rule, right? Take that yellow bonus die, or don't take it to the first player, but only the first player. And it just seemed kind of odd, like, why is that rule there? It gives the first player a choice no one else gets, so it's good to be the first player each round, but you might not want it, and it's a lucky roll anyway. And so sometimes, and that 2+ thing, it's too risky to almost ever take that. You take the 2+, but you don't know what die is going to be left over. Now, yes, granted, you could use potions to flip that die to the other side, but getting 3 of the same resource is usually not that big of a deal anyway. I don't know, the yellow bonus die just felt like a missed opportunity. And the choices for the game weren't dramatically interesting. You know, oh, I am next to this spot. These are the symbols I need. There they are. I will take those. Or I need to move this direction. That's the one I'll take. If that's not available, oh, I can then go to this spot here. I'll take that. The side quest was an interesting idea, although they're quite powerful. The best part of the game is the leveling up. getting stars, getting special abilities that make you your own, make the game asymmetrical. I'm a big fan of that. So that's kind of cool. Moving around the map was so interesting. I liked using a die to move or to get something. The boss fights, I don't know what world the person designed this in. They never felt like a boss fight. In fact, some of the player powers seem like you can just take out a boss like that. The rules weren't very clear if you could or not. There's just some special powers you can go conquer any spot on the board. And it had almost like an anticlimactic finish. I didn't really care what everybody else was doing, except occasionally they'll say, on letter E, I took that early responder thing. Okay, well, that's kind of a bummer, but I never felt like I was really competing with everybody else till the end when we compared scores, and I said, that's your score, this is my score. It felt kind of like, for the most part, it was a solitaire game, which many roll and writes are. Now, I said a whole bunch of, kind of negative stuff. Again, the production is fine. Depth of the game with the special abilities as it goes by, that gets way more interesting. Unfortunately, sometimes that's 40 minutes into the game, but you have a lot more choices at that point. But when I put it all together and I look at it and I say, is this a roll and write game that I want to play compared to the other 100+ games in the genre? Not particularly. They tried to put theme in and they didn't fail. There's some theme in this game. But overall, it just felt a little flat. It's certainly too long. It's just not one I want to play very often. If we say, hey, we're playing this, I say, okay, I'll have a good time with it. But despite all the cool factors in it, it feels a little forgettable, and that's problematic for a game like this. I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching The Dice Tower. We'll see you next time. Dice Tower Judgment, it's okay.